My wife demanded I apologize to her male best friend for embarrassing him. I said okay. I went to his place with his wife present, opened a folder, and said, "I'm here to apologize, but not for what you think." What I showed them next destroyed 2 marriages in under 10 minutes. My name is Vincent Harlow. I'm 42, work as a senior cloud solutions engineer at a medical IT company in Portland, and until 3 weeks ago, I thought my marriage was solid. My wife Natalie and I have 2 kids, Dylan, 16, and Chloe, 14. Good kids. Good life. Or so I thought. Thursday night, I walked through the door after a brutal 12-hour shift. Server crisis, missed lunch, the usual chaos. But Natalie was waiting in the kitchen with that look, arms crossed, jaw set, that "you're already wrong" expression wise perfect over the years. "We need to talk," she said before I could even set down my bag. I loosened my tie. "About what?" "Trevor called. He's upset about last weekend at the barbecue." Trevor Ashford, Natalie's best friend for the past 6 years. Married to Paige, nice enough guy on the surface, but lately something felt off about how close he and Natalie had become. "What about it?" I asked, though I knew exactly what she meant. "You embarrassed him," Natalie said, her voice tight. "When he hugged me after I told him about my promotion possibility, you pulled him aside and said something about boundaries. He felt attacked." I grabbed a glass of water, buying time. "His hand was on your lower back for a solid 10 seconds. Natalie, that's not a friendly hug." "Oh my God, here we go." She threw up her hands. "You're being paranoid again. Trevor is my friend. He was being supportive, and you made it weird." "I made it weird." I turned to face her. I quietly asked him to be more respectful. I didn't make a scene. "Well," Paige noticed the tension, "and now things are awkward between all of us." Natalie stepped closer, her voice dropping to that controlled tone that meant she'd already decided how this would end. "I need you to apologize to him." I blinked. "Apologize?" "Yes. Fix this. Show him you respect our friendship." There was the line that told me everything I needed to know. Our friendship, not my marriage, not my feelings. Their friendship. I set the glass down slowly, studying her face. The defensive posture, the way she couldn't quite meet my eyes, the flush in her cheeks. How had I missed it? Or had I just not wanted to see? "All right," I said quietly. Natalie blinked, clearly surprised. "Really? Yeah. I'll apologize." I kept my voice calm even. "I'll talk to Trevor. Clear the air." Her shoulders sagged with relief. "Thank you, Vincent. I know this isn't easy, but it means a lot to me." "I'll handle it," I said, already planning. "I'll make sure we have a real conversation." She smiled then, that beautiful smile I'd fallen for 17 years ago. Except now it looked different. Now it looked like victory, like she'd controlled the situation perfectly. She had no idea what kind of conversation I was planning to have with Trevor. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because I was angry. Anger would have been simpler. No. What kept me awake was that cold, calculating clarity that comes when you finally stop lying to yourself. I lay in bed next to Natalie, listening to her breathe, watching the ceiling fan spin in the darkness. She'd fallen asleep easily, probably relieved that I'd agreed to apologize without a fight. Meanwhile, my mind was running through months of small details I dismissed. The late-night texts she'd laugh at but never share. The new perfume she started wearing 6 months ago. How she'd angle her phone away when I walked into her room. The way she said Trevor's name, soft, familiar, like it belonged in her mouth. Around 2 in the morning, I heard her phone buzz on the nightstand. Once, twice, 3 times in quick succession. Natalie stirred but didn't wake. I waited 5 minutes, then carefully reached over and picked it up. No passcode. That was new, or maybe it wasn't, and I just hadn't noticed. The screen lit up with message previews. "Trevor. Did you talk to him? Trevor. Is he going to apologize? Trevor. I miss you. Hate that we have to be careful." My chest tightened, but I kept my breathing steady. I opened the messages fully, scrolling back. Nothing explicit, nothing that would hold up in court, but it was there in every exchange. The intimacy, the inside jokes, the "wish you were here" messages sent when I was supposedly at work. I took screenshots methodically, one after another, then opened my email and created a new folder. Sent everything to myself. Then I went deeper. Photo gallery, shared albums, cloud backups she'd forgotten we'd linked years ago. There. A selfie from 3 months ago. Natalie in a hotel room, wine glass in hand, soft lighting. The caption, "Sometimes you need to feel alive again." I checked the metadata, taken in Seattle during her supposed solo work conference. But Trevor had posted a photo that same weekend from a Seattle waterfront restaurant. I could see the reflection in the window behind him, a woman's silhouette that matched Natalie's build exactly. I downloaded everything. Bank statements next. I pulled up her joint account on my phone. There they were. Cash withdrawals, 200 here, 300 there. Always on days she claimed to be out with her girlfriends. Hotel charges in cities where she'd supposedly been alone. By 4 a.m., I had a folder full of evidence. Not just suspicion. Facts. Patterns. A timeline of betrayal stretching back at least 18 months. I set her phone back on the nightstand exactly as I'd found it and lay back down. Natalie shifted beside me, murmuring something in her sleep, her hand reaching out briefly before settling back on her pillow. Tomorrow I'd start phase 2. Tonight, I just needed to remember this feeling, this cold, clear certainty. I needed when things got messy, because they were about to get very messy. Friday morning, I woke up with purpose. Natalie was already in the shower, so I had a small window. I grabbed her laptop from the home office. She always left it unlocked, and opened her email. Most of it was mundane. Work correspondence, shopping confirmations, newsletters. But then I found a folder labeled Travel Plans. Inside were confirmation emails for hotels I'd never heard her mention. Boston, 2 months ago. San Diego, last month. Each booking showed 2 guests. Always a king bed. Always upgraded with champagne service. I photographed every email with my phone, then dug deeper into her cloud storage. There, buried in a subfolder marked Backup 2023, I found a document titled Notes. It was a diary of sorts. Short entries, but devastating. March 15th, told Vincent I had a client dinner. Trevor met me at the Marriott downtown. He makes me feel like I'm 25 again. April 3rd, another business trip excuse. This is getting easier. Vincent never questions anything anymore. May 20th, Trevor says he loves me. I think I love him too. How did this happen? My hand was steady as I photographed each page, but inside, something was reshaping itself. Not breaking, transforming. Anger would have been simple. This was something colder, sharper. I heard the shower shut off. I closed everything, put the laptop back exactly as I found it, and went downstairs to make coffee. Natalie came down 20 minutes later, looking fresh and professional in her business casual outfit. "You're up early," she said, pouring herself coffee. "Couldn't sleep well," I replied. "Been thinking about that conversation with Trevor. When should I reach out to him?" She brightened immediately. "Really? Maybe this weekend? They're free Saturday afternoon." "I'll text him today," I said. "Set something up." She kissed my cheek, a quick, grateful peck. "Thank you, Vincent. This really means a lot." I watched her leave for work, her heels clicking on the hardwood floor, her perfume lingering in the kitchen. That perfume Trevor had probably bought for her. After she left, I opened my laptop and pulled up property records. Something had been nagging at me. Trevor worked in commercial real estate, made decent money, but nothing extraordinary. Yet he'd been taking expensive trips, buying gifts, living beyond what his salary should allow. Then I found it, buried in corporate filings for a commercial development company called Ashford Properties, LLC. Trevor was listed as VP of Operations. But the ownership structure showed something interesting. The primary investor, holding 35% of shares through a holding company, was listed as VH Investments. VH Investments, my investment firm. The one I'd set up 8 years ago with my inheritance money and never told Natalie about, because she'd always been weird about secret accounts. I pulled up my investment portfolio manager's contact. Gerald had been handling my money for a decade, making strategic investments in promising ventures. I called him. "Gerald, it's Vincent Harlow. Quick question about Ashford Properties, the commercial real estate venture you put me in 5 years ago." "Oh sure," Gerald said. "That's been performing well. Steady returns." "What? Who are the key players there? Who runs day-to-day operations?" I heard keyboard clicking. "Let me see. VP of Operations is a Trevor Ashford. Actually founded the company originally, but they brought in outside capital to expand. Your investment gave them the liquidity they needed. Good timing on that one. And if the VP were to be removed, What would happen to the company? Gerald paused. Well, with your ownership stake, you'd have significant say in personnel decisions. The board would have to approve, but why are you asking? Just doing some risk assessment, I said. Thanks, Gerald. I hung up and sat back in my chair. Trevor Ashford's career, his lifestyle, his ability to wine and dine my wife, all of it was funded, in part, by my money. The irony was almost funny. Almost. Saturday afternoon, Dylan asked if he could take the car to meet friends. I handed him the keys and watched him drive off, then turned to Chloe, who was curled up on the couch with her laptop. Hey, sweetheart, can I ask you something? She looked up, pulling out her earbuds. Sure, Dad. I sat down in the chair across from her. Have you noticed anything different about your mom lately? Like, has she seemed distracted? Chloe's expression shifted, just slightly, but I caught it. That look kids get when they know something they're not supposed to say. What do you mean? She asked carefully. Just checking in, I said gently. You can be honest with me. She bit her lip, then set her laptop aside. Dad, I wasn't going to say anything, but what? Last month, when you were in Seattle for that conference, Mom had someone over. Chloe's voice was quiet. I came home early from Emma's house because I forgot my charger. There was a car in the driveway I didn't recognize. When I came in, Mom and Mr. Ashford were in the kitchen. They were really close, and when they heard me, they jumped apart really fast. My chest tightened, but I kept my voice calm. Did they say anything? Mom said Trevor had stopped by to discuss some work thing and was just leaving. But Dad, Chloe's eyes were watering, the way they looked at each other. And Mom made me promise not to mention it to you, because she didn't want you to get the wrong idea. I moved to the couch and put my arm around her. Hey, it's okay. You did nothing wrong. Are you and Mom having problems? She asked, her voice small. We're working through some things, I said carefully. But I want you to know, whatever happens between your mom and me, it has nothing to do with you or Dylan. You understand? She nodded, wiping her eyes. I heard you guys arguing the other night. About Mr. Ashford. Yeah. I squeezed her shoulder. Listen, I need to ask you something else. And I need you to be completely honest. Has your mom ever asked you to keep secrets from me? Other times, not just about Trevor. Chloe hesitated, then nodded slowly. Sometimes she gets packages delivered and tells me bring them inside before you get home. She says they're surprises for you. But your birthday's not until December, and this has been going on for months. Where does she keep these packages? In her closet, the back corner, behind her winter coats. After Chloe went upstairs to her room, I went to our bedroom. Natalie was at the gym, her new Saturday routine that had started about 6 months ago. 2-hour sessions, she claimed. I never questioned it. I opened her closet and pushed aside the winter coats. There, in 3 stacked boxes, I found men's clothing. Designer shirts, still with tags. A leather jacket. Cologne. All expensive, all in sizes that would fit Trevor, not me. In the bottom box, I found something that made my blood run cold. Medical paperwork. A clinic visit from 8 months ago. An abortion procedure. Natalie had been pregnant and terminated it without telling me. But here's the thing. I'd had a vasectomy 3 years ago after Chloe was born. We discussed it, agreed we were done having kids, and I'd gone through with the procedure. Natalie knew. She'd driven me home from the appointment. That baby couldn't have been mine. I photographed everything, put it all back exactly as I found it, and went downstairs. My phone buzzed. A text from Trevor. Hey man, Natalie said you want to talk. Want to grab a beer sometime this week? I typed back. Actually, how about I come by your place tomorrow afternoon? Around 2? I like to chat with you and Paige together. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Sure, that works. See you then. I set the phone down and looked out the window at the quiet suburban street. 24 hours from now, everything was going to change. I just needed to make one more call first. Sunday afternoon at 1:45, I pulled up to the Ashford house. Nice suburban split-level, manicured lawn, 2-car garage. The kind of house that screamed, "We're doing fine," while quietly drowning in debt I was helping to pay. I grabbed the folder from my passenger seat, plain manila, nothing fancy, and walked up the driveway. Before I could knock, Trevor opened the door with that politician's smile. Vincent, come on in, man. He extended his hand. I shook it, firm but brief. Appreciate you having me over, I said. The living room was stage perfect. Paige sat on the couch, looking smaller than I remembered, wearing a soft gray cardigan. She gave me a tentative smile. "Hi, Vincent. Can I get you something to drink?" "No. Thank you, Paige. I won't take up much of your time." I sat in the chair across from them, setting the folder on the coffee table. "I wanted to talk to both of you together." Trevor settled next to his wife, draping his arm over the back of the couch. "Sure, man. Look, about last weekend, I think we just had a misunderstanding." "Actually," I interrupted gently, "I'm not here about last weekend." "Well, not exactly." I leaned forward slightly. "Natalie told me I needed to apologize to you, Trevor. She insisted on it, actually. Said I'd made you uncomfortable, embarrassed you." "It's water under the bridge," Trevor said, his smile tightening. "We're all adults here." "Right. Adults." I picked up the folder. "So, I figured, if I'm going to apologize, I should do it properly. Clear the air completely. No more misunderstandings." Paige glanced between us, sensing something shift in the room. "Vincent, what's this about?" I opened the folder and pulled out the first document, a printout of text messages between Natalie and Trevor. I sat on the table, facing them. "This is from 3 days ago. I miss you. Hate that we have to be careful." "That's you, Trevor, texting my wife at midnight." Trevor's face went pale. "Vincent, listen." I held up a hand. "I'm not done." I laid out the next document. Hotel receipt from Seattle, 3 months ago. 2 guests, king bed, champagne service. Natalie told me she was at a solo work conference. I looked at Paige. "Trevor, you posted a photo from Seattle that same weekend. Small world, right?" Paige picked up the document with trembling hands, reading it slowly. Her breathing changed. "And here," I continued, placing down more papers, bank records showing cash withdrawals from our joint account. "Our account, the one meant for our family, going to fund your lifestyle, Trevor. 200 here, 300 there. Adds up to about 40,000 over the past year." Trevor stood abruptly. "You had no right to dig into my finances." "Your finances are partially my finances," I said calmly. "See, here's something interesting I discovered. Ashford Properties LLC, your company? I own 35% of it through VH Investments. My money has been keeping your business afloat for 5 years. Every expensive dinner you bought my wife, every hotel room, every gift, funded indirectly by me." I pulled out the final document and handed it directly to Paige. "And this is the hardest one. Medical records from 4 months ago. An abortion procedure. Your husband's name is listed as the emergency contact, Paige. Not mine. His." Paige's hands started shaking violently as she read. A sound escaped her throat. Not quite a gasp, not quite a sob. "Paige, baby, let me explain." Trevor reached for her. She recoiled. "Don't touch me. I had a vasectomy 3 years ago," I said quietly, looking at Paige. "Natalie knew. We decided together we were done having kids. So when she got pregnant, I knew it wasn't mine. I just didn't know for sure whose it was until I found these documents in her closet yesterday." Trevor's jaw worked soundlessly. Paige stood slowly, the papers clutched in her hand, and walked out of the room without a word. We heard her footsteps going upstairs. Trevor turned to me, and all the charm had evaporated. "What do you want?" "Want?" I smiled without humor. "I wanted to apologize, Trevor, like Natalie insisted. So here it is. I'm sorry I didn't see what you really were sooner. I'm sorry I let you into my home, around my kids. And I'm deeply sorry for what I'm about to do to your life." His face twisted. "You threatening me?" "No threats. Just facts." I stood, gathering the folder. "Tomorrow morning, the board of Ashford Properties is getting a full report on your conduct. As the largest shareholder, I'm recommending your immediate termination. I'm also filing for divorce, and will be listing you as a correspondent in adultery proceedings. Every text, every hotel receipt, every penny my wife gave you, it'll all be public record. You can't." "I can, and I am." I walked toward the door. "Oh, and Trevor, tell Natalie I said hello when she calls you crying tonight. Because she will." I let myself out, leaving him standing in his living room, his perfect facade finally shattered. I drove straight home. Natalie's car was in the driveway. She'd gone to some Sunday yoga class, or so she'd said. I parked and sat for a moment, preparing for what came next. When I walked in, she was in the kitchen making tea, still in her yoga pants and tank top. She turned with a bright smile. "Hey, how'd it go with Trevor?" "It went well," I said, setting my keys down. Very productive conversation. I'm so glad you two worked things out. She poured hot water into her mug. I knew you'd see that he wasn't a threat once you actually talked to him. Oh, we definitely established what kind of threat he is. I leaned against the counter. Actually, I talked to both Trevor and Paige. Thought it was important Paige was there too, you know? For transparency. Something flickered across Natalie's face. Paige was there. Hum. I brought some documents to help illustrate my points. Hotel receipts, text messages, bank records. I watched her carefully. Medical records too. From that clinic visit 4 months ago. The mug slipped from her hands and shattered on the tile floor. Hot tea splashed across the kitchen. Natalie just stood there, frozen. Vincent, did you think I wouldn't find out? My voice was eerily calm. Or did you just not care? It's not what you think. I think my wife has been having an affair with Trevor Ashford for at least 18 months. I think she got pregnant with his child and terminated it without telling her husband, who, by the way, had a vasectomy, so that must have been a fun realization for you. And I think she's been stealing money from our joint account to fund his lifestyle. I pushed off from the counter. Tell me which part I'm wrong about. Natalie's eyes filled with tears. I can explain. Save it. I walked past her toward the stairs. I've already filed for divorce. You'll be served papers tomorrow. I'm taking the kids to a hotel tonight, and you're going to stay here and think about what you've done. You can't take my children. Her voice rose, desperate now. I stopped on the stairs and turned. Our children. And yes, I can. Dylan and Chloe both know what you've been doing, Natalie. Chloe saw Trevor here that day. I was in Seattle. She's known for weeks and has been terrified to tell me because you made her keep secrets. The blood drained from her face. She wouldn't. She did. Yesterday. She told me everything because she's a good kid who knows right from wrong. Something she clearly didn't learn from you. I continued up the stairs. Pack a bag if you want, but I suggest you start calling lawyers. You're going to need one. I heard her start sobbing behind me, but I didn't stop. In Dylan's room, I found him at his desk doing homework. He looked up, and I could see in his eyes that he already knew something was happening. Pack a bag, son. We're staying somewhere else tonight. Because of Mom. His voice was quiet, mature beyond his 16 years. Yeah. He nodded and started pulling clothes from his dresser. Dad, I heard her on the phone with someone last week. She was laughing and saying things that didn't sound like how you talk to a friend. I know, Dylan. It's going to be okay. In Chloe's room, she was already packing, tears streaming down her face. Is it really over? I pulled her into a hug. The marriage is over. But you and your brother are never losing me. That's forever. Downstairs, I could hear Natalie on the phone, voice high and frantic. Probably calling Trevor. Good. Let them panic together. My phone buzzed as we loaded bags into the car. A text from an unknown number. This is Paige Ashford. I just wanted to say thank you for telling me the truth. And I'm sorry for what you're going through. You didn't deserve this. I texted back. Neither did you. Take care of yourself, Paige. As I drove away from the house with my kids in the back seat, I saw Natalie standing in the doorway, illuminated by the porch light, watching us leave. She looked small, broken, alone. Good. 2 weeks after I left, the divorce proceedings were in full swing. My lawyer, a sharp woman named Catherine Davis, had filed everything. Adultery as grounds, full custody petition, and a fraud complaint with the district attorney regarding the forged financial transactions. But the real blow came from an unexpected source. I was at the hotel with Dylan and Chloe when my phone rang. Unknown number. Mr. Harlow? This is Jennifer Reeves. I worked with your wife at Hartman Marketing. Okay, I said carefully. What can I do for you? Actually, I think I can do something for you. She paused. Can we meet? There's something you need to know about Natalie and Trevor. Something that goes back further than you might realize. We met at a coffee shop 30 minutes later. Jennifer was mid-30s, professional, with the look of someone who'd been carrying a burden too long. I should have come forward sooner, she said, sliding a flash drive across the table. But I was afraid of losing my job. Now I realized staying silent was worse. What's on here? I asked. Emails. Internal company communications. Security footage from our office building. She took a breath. Natalie and Trevor have been involved for 3 years, not 18 months. It started when Trevor's company partnered with ours on the downtown renovation project. They were careful, but not careful enough. My jaw tightened. 3 years. Almost our entire time living in this house. There's more, Jennifer continued. 6 months ago, I overheard Natalie on the phone in the break room. She was talking to someone, I assume Trevor, about how you'd never notice if money went missing because you were too trusting and too busy. She laughed about it, Mr. Harlow. Laughed about stealing from you. Something cold settled in my chest. Why are you telling me this now? Because yesterday, Natalie came into the office acting like nothing had happened. She tried to spin the story to our colleagues, saying you'd become controlling and paranoid. She painted herself as the victim. Jennifer's eyes hardened. I couldn't let that stand. Several of us have seen what was really happening. We just needed someone to be brave enough to speak up first. The flash drive contained everything she promised. Emails between Natalie and Trevor discussing their relationship, complaining about their spouses, making plans for weekends away. Timestamped security footage showing them in compromising positions in empty conference rooms after hours. But the worst was a recorded phone conversation. Apparently Jennifer had been in the bathroom stall when Natalie made the call and had recorded it on her phone. Natalie's voice came through clearly. He'll never leave me, Trevor. He's too invested in the family image. And even if he did, I'd take him for everything. His parents left him that inheritance last year. $2.5 million he thinks I don't know about. That's our retirement, baby. We just have to be patient. My inheritance, the one I'd kept separate, intending it as a college fund for the kids and our actual retirement. She'd known about it all along and had been planning to take it. I forwarded everything to Catherine immediately. That afternoon, my phone rang again. This time it was Natalie's mother, Carol. Vincent, we need to talk, she said, her voice strained. Mrs. Peterson, I don't think. Please, I need to say this. She sighed heavily. Richard and I just found out what Natalie did. All of it. We're horrified. I stayed silent. We raised her better than this, Carol continued, her voice breaking. We taught her about commitment, about integrity. I don't know what happened to her, but what she's done to you and those children is unforgivable. Mrs. Peterson, we want you to know that we're not taking her side, she said firmly. We've told her she's not welcome in our home until she takes full responsibility for her actions. And we'd like to continue seeing Dylan and Chloe, if you'll allow it. They're our grandchildren, and they shouldn't suffer because their mother made terrible choices. I was genuinely shocked. Of course they can see you. They love you both. Thank you. She paused. And Vincent, we're sorry. Truly sorry for what our daughter has put you through. After we hung up, I sat in the hotel room staring at nothing. Natalie's own parents had disowned her. Her colleague had turned against her. The truth was spreading, and there was no way to spin it. My phone buzzed with a text from Paige. Can we talk? Coffee tomorrow. I replied, sure. 10 a.m. at Java Junction. See you there. Paige looked different when I met her the next morning. Thinner, pale, but there was something else, a quiet strength that hadn't been there before. Thank you for meeting me, she said as we sat down with our coffees. Of course. How are you holding up? She smiled sadly. Some days are harder than others. Trevor's been served with divorce papers. He's staying with a friend, trying to convince me to take him back. She shook her head. Never going to happen. Good for you. Actually, there's something I need to tell you. About my health. Paige wrapped her hands around her mug. I have stage 3 ovarian cancer. I was diagnosed 8 months ago. My breath caught. Paige, I'm so sorry. I've been in treatment, and the prognosis is uncertain. Maybe 5 years, maybe 10, maybe less. She looked up at me. I knew Trevor was pulling away during my treatment. I just didn't know he was pulling away to your wife. When you showed me those documents, part of me was relieved. Finally, the truth. You deserve so much better than what he gave you. So do you. She smiled slightly. I've been thinking a lot about second chances lately. About not wasting time on people who don't value you. And about spending time with people who do. I met her eyes and saw something there. Vulnerability, yes, but also possibility. Vincent, I know this is complicated and the timing is terrible, but would you want to have dinner sometime? Not as therapy or commiseration. Just as two people who understand each other. I thought about it for exactly 3 seconds. I'd like that. We talked for 2 hours. About our kids, our marriages, our futures. When we left, she hugged me, brief but warm. Thank you for being honest, she said. About everything. Driving back to the hotel, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Hope. That evening, Catherine called with news. The DA is moving forward with fraud charges against Natalie. Between the forged documents, the financial theft, and the witness testimony from her coworker, they have a solid case. What about Trevor? He's cooperating, trying to cut a deal, basically throwing Natalie under the bus to save himself. Catherine's tone was dry. Real gentleman. Figures. Also, the custody hearing is next week. With the kid's testimony and Natalie's parents backing you, I'm confident we'll get full custody with supervised visitation for her. After hanging up, I called Dylan and Chloe into my room. I have some news. It's good news, mostly. They sat on the bed, waiting. The court case is moving forward. Your grandparents, your mom's parents, have said they support us. They want to keep seeing you. What about Mom? Chloe asked quietly. She's going to face some legal consequences for what she did. But that's not on you. That's on her. I pulled them both close. No matter what happens, you two are my priority. Always. Dylan nodded. Dad, I know this is weird to say, but I'm proud of you for not just taking it. Those words meant more than any court victory ever could. For months after I left, the divorce was finalized. Natalie got minimal visitation rights. Every other Sunday, supervised by her parents. The fraud charges were still pending, but the DA assured Catherine they had enough for a conviction. Trevor had been terminated from Ashford Properties. Without his position and with his reputation destroyed, he'd lost most of his clients. Last I heard, he was working at a small real estate office in the suburbs, making a fraction of what he used to. But I wasn't focused on him anymore. I was focused on building something new. One Tuesday morning, I received a call from the Portland Tribune. Mr. Harlow, this is Lisa Reed, editor of the opinion section. We've heard about your case through court filings, and we'd like to offer you space to write a statement, if you're interested. Many readers have been following the story. I thought about it for exactly 10 seconds. I'll send you something by tomorrow. That night, I sat down and wrote. To the community, my name is Vincent Harlow. Some of you may know my story. My wife's affair, the financial theft, the betrayal that nearly destroyed my family. I'm not writing this for sympathy or revenge. I'm writing this because silence protects the wrong people. For 18 months, I trusted completely while being deceived systematically. I ignored warning signs because I believed in the sanctity of marriage and the goodness of people I loved. That trust was weaponized against me. But I want to be clear, I'm not a victim. I'm a father who fought for his children. I'm a man who chose dignity over despair. And I'm someone who believes that truth, however painful, is always better than comfortable lies. To anyone reading this who's in a similar situation, trust your instincts. Verify what you're told. And know that choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. I'm grateful to everyone who supported my family through this. My children's grandparents who chose principle over blood, the colleagues who spoke truth when silence would have been easier, and especially to those who showed me that betrayal doesn't have to be the end of the story. It can be the beginning of something better. Vincent Harlow. The letter published Wednesday morning. By noon, my phone was flooded with messages. Friends I hadn't heard from in years, former colleagues, even strangers offering support. The local news picked it up. By evening, it had gone viral online. Natalie called, furious. How dare you humiliate me publicly like this? I didn't name you, I said calmly. I told my truth. If you feel humiliated, that's guilt, not defamation. She hung up. But the most important call came from Paige. Vincent, I read your letter. It was beautiful and brave. Thank you. I've been thinking, she said carefully, about us, about what this could be. I know it's complicated with my diagnosis, and I know it's fast, but... Paige, I interrupted gently. I don't care about complicated. I care about real. And this is the most real thing I've felt in years. She was quiet for a moment. I feel the same way. Then let's stop overthinking it. That Saturday, Paige came to dinner with me and the kids. Dylan and Chloe had met her twice before, but this felt different, more intentional. We cooked together, laughed together, and for the first time in months, the apartment felt like a home. After the kids went to bed, Paige and I sat on the couch, her hand in mine. Thank you, she said softly, for seeing me as more than just Trevor's victim or a cancer patient. For seeing me. Thank you for being brave enough to want this, I replied. We sat in comfortable silence, and I realized something profound. Betrayal had broken me open, but it had also made room for something better to grow. 1 year later, the small chapel in downtown Portland was filled with the people who mattered. Dylan and Chloe in the front row, Paige's sister standing as maid of honor, my best friend from college's best man, Paige's parents, my parents, even Carol and Richard Peterson, Natalie's parents, who'd become unlikely allies. Paige walked down the aisle in a simple cream dress, her smile radiant despite the toll her treatment had taken. She'd been through 2 rounds of chemotherapy, and the doctors said she was responding well. 5 years, maybe 10. We take every day we got. You look beautiful, I whispered as she reached me. You clean up pretty well yourself, she whispered back. The ceremony was short, personal, perfect. When the minister pronounced us married, Dylan and Chloe cheered louder than anyone. At the reception, Dylan pulled me aside. Dad, I just want to say, I'm really happy for you. Paige is good for you. Good for all of us. She is, I agreed. And you two are good for her. Chloe joined us, wrapping her arms around both of us. We're going to be okay, aren't we? Better than okay, I promised. Later, as Paige and I danced, she said, Have you heard anything about Natalie? Last I heard, she's living in a studio apartment across town, working retail. Trevor's in a similar situation. His business partner dropped him. His clients left. They're not together, according to Carol. Turns out when you build a relationship on lies and betrayal, it doesn't survive reality. Poetic justice, Paige murmured. Something like that. 3 months before the wedding, Natalie had shown up at my office, unannounced. She'd looked terrible, thinner, older, desperate. Vincent, please. Can we talk? Really talk? What do you want, Natalie? I want to propose something. She took a breath. What if we tried again, but differently? An open arrangement where we're both free to see other people, but we keep the family intact. The kids need both parents. I'd stared at her, genuinely stunned by the audacity. You destroyed our family. You stole from me. You aborted another man's child. And now you want me to welcome you back into my life with an open arrangement? I made mistakes, but no. The answer is no. It will always be no. I've moved on, Natalie. You should too. She'd left crying. I'd felt nothing. Now, dancing with my wife, my real wife, my chosen wife, I felt everything. Joy, peace, hope, love. What are you thinking about? Paige asked. How grateful I am that she demanded I apologize to Trevor. Paige laughed. Really, if she hadn't pushed that moment, I might have stayed blind for years. I might never have found the truth. And I definitely wouldn't be here with you. She rested her head on my shoulder. Then I guess I should thank her too. Let's not go that far, I said, and she laughed again. As the reception wound down, I stepped outside for air. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Congratulations on your wedding. I hope you're happy. I truly do. I'm sorry for everything. N. I read it once, then deleted it without responding. Inside, Paige was talking with Dylan and Chloe, the 3 of them laughing about something. My family, not the one I'd planned, but the one I'd fought for and chosen. I walked back inside, put my arm around Paige, and kissed the top of her head. Ready to start our life? She asked. I already did, I said. A year ago, when I stopped apologizing for someone else's mistakes and started living for the people who actually matter. She smiled, took my hand, and we walked into our future together. Whatever time we had, we'd make it count.